fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
Ho, ho, ho. I'm Jim Hutchinson with a New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine with our Christmas weekend video fishing forecast. Have a couple of breaking news items to talk about this week, including the find of Independence, the tag, the MiniPSAT device down along the Delaware Bay shore in Lewes. But first, let's jump across the bay over into Cape May, where we got some word of a state record blackfish. That happened on Sunday. In fact, we were working on the fishing reports for the January edition when I got a couple of text messages. Lo and behold, it was Captain Bob Cope who was together with Tom Daffin. He said, "Stop the presses," and we did. Because on Sunday, Chris Sullivan and a crew of hardcore toggers were out on Tom Daffin's Fishin' Fever out of Cape May. They're about 20 miles out, working in roughly 100 foot of water. And Chris caught this 25.8-pound blackfish. It was weighed later on Sunday on a certified scale over at Utsch's Marina, and it could be, should be, probably will be, the next state record blackfish here in the Garden State. Now, that would be the second state record for Captain Tom Daffin aboard his Fishin' Fever. The last time that happened was 2015. Frank Lamorty was on Fishin' Fever, caught a 25-pound, 5.92-ounce behemoth blackfish. Now, the difference between the decimal points and the pounds and ounces, we're talking 7 ounces. So Sully's fish was about 7 ounces bigger than Frank's fish. But again, it's a pending state record at this point. The state of New Jersey has to do their due diligence before they award it. But all indications are that we have a new state record tog holder. Chris Sullivan, congratulations to you. And also congratulations to Tom Daffin, getting it done out of Cape May aboard the Fishin' Fever. And I've heard from some folks who fished with Daffin in the past. They think that there's a couple of bigger blackfish that have been broken off out there on some of those wreck sites. By the way, Frank Mahalik, my buddy, author Frank, was on that trip as well. He's got a full personal first-man account of that fish being caught. We're going to have that in the February edition. So by the time we find out about Sully's fish and whether or not that's a state record, we'll have the full write-up in the February edition. I've actually got a trip planned with Frank on Monday. I'm hoping he's going to pass along that Century Frank Mahalik Toggin model, that lucky rod that was used to catch the state record, puts it in my hands. We'll see if it really works. There's another write-up coming in the February edition of the Fisherman magazine in about a month. It's about Independence, that striped bass that was tagged off of Montauk on July 3rd. That's our other breaking news this week because that tag was found. Think back a couple of weeks, several weeks. We talked about this around Election Day is when I got word from the folks at Gray FishTag Research that MiniPSAT device first started uploading data to the Argos satellite. That tag from the Independence fish, that's the name that we applied to that 46-inch fish that was caught, tagged, and released off of Montauk July 3rd. By November 3rd, the satellite tag had come undone from that fish and started uploading to the Argos satellite. Now, we had a bunch of treasure hunters working along the beaches of Fortescue and Egg Island Wildlife Management Area. I was down there a couple of times myself, but we couldn't find that tag. It took 10 days for that battery to continue to work and upload data to the Argos satellite, but by the time the battery died, we have not heard from the tag since. Assumed it was someplace up on the marshes. Well, obviously that nor'easter last week pushed that tag off the marshes of New Jersey across the Delaware Bay, where this week a group of guys, some old friends, Drew Johnson, his son Lucky Luke Johnson, and friend Dave Vitella, they were down, took the entrance ramp to Cape Henlopen State Park, came inside walking along the Delaware Bay shore and kicked this tag up. That's the one we've been looking for. That is the tag. These guys are surfers, fishermen, local business owners. Drew owns the coffee shop there in Lewes, but they're just excited as all heck to find this MiniPSAT device. It is already en route down to Florida, where the folks at Gray FishTag Research will open that little message in a bottle up and find out all the tagging information about Independence. Again, thanks to the Johnsons, thanks to their friend Dave, out walking the dogs along the Delaware Bay shore. We have that tag, so the February edition will have the full write-up. We'll know everything that Independence did from the time she left Montauk to the time that tag started uploading the Argo satellite. So really exciting news right there. And again, we'll have more of that write-up at thefisherman.com. Next week, I want to tell you all about Drew and Luke. This is a great story for these treasure hunters, but also the February edition will have more on Independence. Not much else to report surf-wise as far as fishing along the Delaware Bay shore, along the Delaware beaches. A few short rockfish at Indian River Inlet, a couple of small tog as well off the rocks, but primarily it's been perch along the tributaries and creeks off of the Delaware. That's according to Eric Burnley, who did our write-up for the January edition this week. Although we did hear from the folks at Lewes Harbor Marina, who had Keith Loveland stop in over the weekend with a keeper striper he caught outside of Delaware Bay trolling a mojo over the weekend. So that's good news. Then the reports out of Atlantic and Cape May in particular, Atlantic County and Cape May County in particular, show that some of the stripers are still out there, though most of the bigger fish have been encountered by those guys that are going offshore to go tog fishing. We're finding striped bass, big ones, 8 to 10 miles out on those bunker pods. Now, if you're wondering where some of those really big fish are, I've been talking to Chuck Manning, who's down off of Cape Charles, Virginia, and catching some true monsters. We're talking close to 60-pound fish. We're talking 52, 55, 48. So a lot of those big fish now that had come through early, I guess in October, early November, down off of those beaches, but there are still some fish inside. In fact, doing our fishing reports for the January edition, we talked to Drew from Fin Addicts, and he said the best and only available striper action as far as being inside the line along the Avalon Shoals area, where Dragon Mojos and those umbrella rigs has still been scoring for stripers. For those of you who still have boats in the water, Jimmy Cooper let us know last week he was off of Hereford Inlet. I believe it was early last week. He said before Tuesday, the marks under his boat were still solid. So there were still some stripers before the heave. Of course, we had that nor'easter over the weekend, late week, right? And while it may have pushed that tag up to a spot where we could find it in Lewes, it also really moved quite a bit of fish and quite a bit of sand around. This was the view at Manasquan Inlet on Thursday morning after the storm. Actually, it was during the storm. Waves crashing across the mouth of the inlet, making it impassable on Thursday and into Friday. I also believe, you can see it from the bird play, and that gull there had fresh bunker. There were fresh bunker washed up along the shore. Plenty of birds. So again, I'm sure that those fish, the bait, moved around quite a bit, but so did the sand. One of my home stretches here in Ocean County got hit hard by the heave. These are the cliffs at Bayhead. All that fresh sand that the Army Corps used to fill in the beach, now gone, spread out south along the beaches. A few of the old jetties have come back as well. That's what they call shoveling sand into the wind. Nice contract work if you can get it. Beach replenishment along the beaches of northern Ocean County. For that stretch from Sandy Hook down to Seagirt, and again from Point Pleasant down to Island Beach, and also along the beaches of Long Beach Island, the fall run was pretty solid. It was just going gangbusters before the storm. After the storm, after last week's nor'easter, things got cold, things got dirty. I did get up to the beach on Saturday and took 24 casts. I know it was 24 because by number 12, my toes and fingers in 20-degree temperatures at dawn, I couldn't take it anymore. I said, I'm halfway done. And I was. I did talk to somebody else who was out a little bit later in the morning when it was a bit milder. They did take a handful of fish on the beach. Along that stretch. My buddy Michael Drew also let me know that he was out on Monday just before high tide, somewhere in Ocean County, I believe, but he found a few short stripers, a handful of them willing to play, again, on those Ava jigs and teasers. So yeah, it's still worth a shot out along those beaches, even an hour or two at the right time before your hands and toes go numb. Again, for the most part, it's been the higher tide. If you can get the high tide, if it's midday and the sun is not up and doing damage, because I think when you have an overcast day, light offshore winds, and that high tide, you're still apt to score. I talked to Andy at Riptide Bait and Tackle last week in Brigantine. He said, I think there's fish around, I just don't think there's any anglers. So I think that's the most part. Pick a mild day, get out there at high tide, take the Avas, take the jigs, the tins and teasers, and also have those sand eel imitations ready to go. So yeah, stripers out along the beach, inside the line on the Mojo's umbrellas as well. Maybe a little bit of jigging if you're getting out. The tog action in New Jersey and Delaware, of course, continues into 2021. However, it's black sea bass, which will come to a close at the end of this year. We're only about a week and a half away from that. So there's still a shot for you to get out on one of those offshore trips before or on December 31st. I know boats like the Big Jamaica still going offshore for some of those jumbo humpbacks. They had an excellent offshore sea bass trip earlier this week. They had limits of sea bass up to 6.5 pounds, along with good numbers of porgies. So the porgy action will continue. And I would imagine the head boats that continue to sail in 2021, especially the Jersey boats, will still focus on some of those porgies, some ling, pollock, and maybe a handful of cod as well. But I found out that the Big Jamaica will plan to sail between Christmas and New Year's. If you want to get on that opportunity to jump aboard that head boat, of course, most of the head boats that will continue to sail into the new year, daily trips for blackfish as well. So if you plan to get out and try to get in your last licks on sea bass before the closure on December 31st, just keep an eye out for the weather. Because I'll tell you, it looks like we've got another little bit of a weather fit Christmas Eve into Christmas Day. Hopefully things settle pretty nicely by Saturday, Sunday, even into the start of the week for my tog trip, and also getting back out for some of those black sea bass, and of course for stripers in the wash as well. But it's already starting to shape up to be a real winter here in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. In fact, already getting some word of some folks finding some safe ice in the North Country out towards the Pocconos and up northern part of the Pocconos. For more on that, here's a 60-second update from my friend George, the Poccono Outdoors Guy.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. Everyone's getting ready for this holiday weekend. The guys are out getting some fish, too. You know, the guys are finding some safe ice, and that's 4 inches we need to be safe. Remember that, folks. But the shallower, ponds and lakes are all starting to freeze, and they are starting to get some good ice, especially up north, and you know where those lakes are, so just be careful when you head out. But they are getting some bass, some pickerel, some perch, lots of great fish. Eric Goodstall sent me this pitch. He's got a nice little bass here out of a local pond, so they are starting to produce. And don't forget, we've been talking about trout all season. They continue to produce, and I think we'll be getting trout all winter long. Justin Lerner sent this great pic of some trout that he got out through the on the streams and stuff as well. But guys, get out, go enjoy a great holiday, and we'll talk soon. From Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Poccono Outdoors Guy.
Again, earlier I mentioned the January edition of the Fisherman magazine is out, our big boat and motor buyer's guide. It's an extensive collection of the hottest new boats and all the outboards that you can take a look at for 2021. Some great articles in there as well. But you also have only a few days to take advantage of that holiday special. That special deal that we have at the Fisherman magazine, a special low price of $19.95 for the year. That special goes through December 31st. $38 if you want 2 years worth of magazines. It makes a great gift. It's great for you renewing subscribers, for new subscribers, and like I said, it makes a great gift because you get all the editions of the Fisherman magazine, the 12 printed monthly editions, you get the weekly digital access, you get access to everything that's behind the firewall at thefisherman.com. So take advantage of that special. You can go over to thefisherman.com right now and go look at the subscription area. Get on, get into it. Would hope you are a member of the Fisherman magazine family heading into 2021. In my family, here in this Hutchinson household, we celebrate both Hanukkah and Christmas. But the Festival of Lights just came to a close this past weekend, so I feel comfortable in saying not just happy holidays to all, but have a very Merry Christmas this week. Have the very best. It's a wonderful time of year, and who knows, looks like we might be having a white Christmas in parts of our region. We will see you again next week. We'll do one more video forecast right before 2021. That's going to be coming to you on Wednesday of next week. Until then, enjoy the holiday, catch them up, and we'll see you again next week at thefisherman.com.
Hey, it's George, your Poccono Outdoors Guy, wishing you all the very best in this holiday season.
Did you get yourself another rod?
Steigercraft boats, built by people who fish our waters. Serious anglers choose Steigercraft for their 40 years of boat building experience right here in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Visit steigercraft.com for a dealer near you.